Hi, and welcome to the third Total Tactics testing video. In this video, we're going to explore some new concepts that I hadn't really explored myself as a tactics creator on FM22, and something that I came across in the Total Tactics Discord channel, which you can find a link to in the description. Join up, get verified, and become a part of that conversation and learn from other tactic creators and from other players of FM and people like myself, Bust the Net, Coinbird, SNG, and Tacticality will all be on the channel there and available to kind of help you out through your tactics, as well as some of our moderators and other strong tacticians. This tactic that we're going to talk about today is another narrow tactic. The first tactic in the video series was a 4-2-2-2 narrow, and this one is not too dissimilar and plays similarly, but one of the reasons why I'm focusing on it today is because some very interesting team instructions and player instructions that I kind of want to walk you through, as well as taking a look at some very impressive results. But before we look at the tactic, let's take a look at the methodology. Okay, so the Total Tactics testing database is available on our Discord. You can find a link in the description to join that Discord. It's a save game file on Football Manager 2022 that you load in. So there are 4 leagues only in the save game file, and in each league there is a manager controlling the team Napoli. Napoli is balanced in each league to roughly be in a certain tier. So you have the elite teams league, where Napoli is one of the worst teams in the league. You have the balanced league, where Napoli is in the top third. They'd be challenging for the European places, and that league has Liverpool at the top and Union Berlin down at the bottom, those kind of teams. So there's a big spectrum of teams in the balanced league. So how could Napoli do in just a regular league structure? There's also the average team leagues, where all of the teams are about the same level, and then the underdog league, where Napoli is clearly the best team in the league. So how do you do it? You just load your tactic in for each instance of Napoli, all 4 managers. You set each manager to go on vacation until Friday, May 13th, and then at the conclusion of the season, you get to look at your results, and you just simulate and vacation all 4 managers, all running your tactic, all in different circumstances. I think that it's a really balanced way to sort of approach tactic creation, to see how your tactic does in a variety of situations. And we have SNG, Bust the Net, Coinbird, and Tacticality, along with myself, all to thank for the development of this database. And on the Discord server, you'll see all of us and a few other mods interacting with you on tactics that you submit to the Discord, and just, answering your questions and getting tactical advice as well throughout the various sections of the Discord. So I urge you to join, and again, the link to joining that Discord is in the description. All right, let's take a look at the tactic. This is the tactic, and I took this one from the Discord from one of our moderators, 2 Fuzzy Dunlop. And Fuzzy's put together a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow formation that makes use of a lot of very interesting tactics. Now, what Fuzzy told me in our conversation on the Discord was that this tactic primarily wins through through balls and overloading the middle, which I think is becoming sort of a theme. You have tactics like the 4-3-1-2, you have tactics like the Brazil box and the false box from the first video, and a lot of these, or the 4-1-3-2 as well, which is also very narrow. All of these tactics do quite well in both PvP and in the against the AI in the match engine, and is something that perhaps more players should be looking to exploit. I know a lot of us will have a hard time, myself included, letting go of some of those wide players and wingers, but I think you'll see a large payoff in your results. So let's take a look at the tactic in a little bit more detail. One of the things that I want to call your attention to is there are a lot of team instructions, way more than usually you will see in either of my tactics, especially if you go back and look at the first 2 videos. One of the biggest instructions here that I found very instructive is this pass into space. And I asked Dunlop specifically about this, and he said that he was also surprised that pass into space worked, but combining it with run at defense tended to make those balls into space more effective because they would take on a defender and then pass the ball into space. So they'd be pulling that defender into a marking assignment before passing it into space. If you don't have the run at defense turned on, what he was seeing happening is lots of turnovers, which is something that I've seen throughout the FM22 cycle as well, as way too many turnovers when you use pass into space. But perhaps running at the defense is the key to unlocking the pass into space instruction on FM22, and it's a very interesting development. So I think that's one of the reasons why this tactic tends to work, is that pass into space instruction. So that's the interesting thing here. The other interesting thing here is he's using both the offside trap and use tighter marking, which is something that I've gone away from. The tactics that I've been releasing lately have both of those ticked off, but it's something maybe I should be like getting back into and seeing how it would affect the tactics that I've created in the past. Definitely worth a look. And then the final wrinkle that I did not expect at all is in almost all of the player instructions, Fuzzy has ticked on take fewer risks. I tend to be telling my players to take more risks, but again, this might be one of the reasons why pass into space is working for Fuzzy, is that he's having his players take less risks. So they're making that pass into space when it is available, but maybe not forcing it, which is what might lead to more turnovers. I thought that was very instructive. He also has both advanced forwards on shoot less often, which is something that I've used in the past myself to make sure that your team takes the extra pass and only shoots when it is appropriate for them to shoot. And it's something that you should try if you haven't before. It seems counterintuitive, but shooting less often is something that can be very effective. He even has that as the Shadow Striker too. He doesn't want that Shadow Striker taking that loose shot from way outside the box that is always going to get into Rosie. Like, that's just not what you want your Shadow Striker doing, right? You want them linking up with the advanced forwards, and you want them making the extra pass to make sure that the final chance is the one that has the extremely high XG and the best chance of going in. The Shadow Striker does take more risks, which I think sort of makes sense, but still has the shoot less often. But when you go through the midfield, take fewer risks. This doesn't have it, but it's kind of like baked into the box-to-box midfielder. The same with the DM is set to take fewer risks and mark tighter. You've got the inverted wingback in there, take fewer risks. You got the other one added, take fewer risks. But here's where it gets interesting. You also have the ball-playing defenders on close down more and take more risks, which is something I've been trying to take out of my defenders too, because I don't like when they get pulled out of position. But perhaps being a little bit more aggressive might be another reason why this tactic keeps high possession numbers and continues to push the attack, is with these aggressive central defenders. Fuzzy did say that there are sort of a yellow card magnet in some of these ball-playing defenders, but that he did not see very many reds, and that was, consistently low in the red card tables throughout Fuzzy's tests. I think there's a lot of interesting takeaways here and a lot of things I'd like to apply to my tactics going forward. I want to try more with the take fewer risks. I want to try more with pass into space, run at defense, and see if that makes a change in any of my tactics. And I think it's something really interesting. If you kind of look at the stats from the players here, you can see that the advanced forwards are scoring almost a majority of the goals, although you do see probably the Shadow Striker here with 12 goals, Zielinski. My guess is that Pacina played a lot as the CM attack, and Pacina has 8 goals and 17 starts. Most of the assists coming from the DM, which is Sandro Tonali in this, or Fabian maybe is the DM, and Sandro Tonali played box-to-box a lot. Either way, you've got 20 assists coming from those two midfielders. So the majority of the goals are coming from those front three, and they're running on to through balls, and it's really instructive. So I think this tactic is extremely interesting and something that we should probably pay a little bit more attention to, some of these team instructions. And I'll be going back to the drawing board as well, just to see how things look and how they turn out. But let's take a look at some of those results. All right. Looking at the results, they are very impressive. We've got championships in 3 of the 4 divisions and second place in the Elite Teams League. Really impressive result here by Fuzzy. So let's start with the Elite Team League and look a little bit more in depth at the table. But Napoli here, you can see, finished tied for second with Bayern, but not, and 9 points back of Liverpool, and 9 points back with Liverpool dropping the last 3 games, which is kind of interesting. But like we've talked about before in the video series, it's really hard to beat Liverpool in the Elite Teams League. A second place finish is an incredibly good finish, especially the plus 30 goal difference. 84 goals scored was the top in the division. Those are both very impressive totals and a strong showing in the Elite League. If we jump down a league to the Balanced League, which is the league that is most similar to an actual league that you might play on FM, like you can see there are teams like Augsburg and Union Berlin towards the bottom of the table, but you're also fighting for the title against Real Madrid and Liverpool. So it's a pretty, like we said, a balanced league. And here's where Napoli really shined: 101 goals for, 35 against, for a plus 66 goal difference, as well as 86 points. 11 points clear of Real Madrid. Liverpool, a pretty shocking result here, finishing third. That doesn't happen very often in the balanced team sims, but Napoli probably had a lot to do about that, and this tactic really showed that it can do well against both large teams, small teams, and medium-sized teams, which it's pretty obvious when we get to the average teams league that's true here as well, with a 75 point showing, first place over Arsenal with a plus 39 goal difference, 85 goals for, again the highest in the division, which is something that's going to become a little bit of a theme. So another good result in the average teams league, and then again another championship in the underdogs teams league, which we would always assume would happen. 105 goals for, 88 points, plus 83 goal difference. The results here are just incredible. I think that this tactic and other narrow tactics like it are a force to be reckoned with. As you develop your squads and your saves, think about prioritizing those attacking midfielders and midfielders. Things like teamwork and vision and work rate are a good way to like kind of ensure that you can also build a strong narrow tactic with a strong like fundamental like cohesion to the unit and strong defensive backbone. These tactics are very impressive and something that I would encourage you to get involved with. Again, join the Discord. There is a link in the description. You can also submit your own tactics through that, and also make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to this video. And I hope to see you more and back again next week for our 4th test in the Tactics Testing League. But until then, enjoy my other content, and I will see you on Twitch and back next week.